What's up, fight fans? In today's video, Islam Makhachev finds himself under fire. Guys, Chael Sonnen just fired back with a savage response aimed at Islam Makhachev. So, what's really happening here? And why exactly is the UFC pushing Ilia Topuria so hard? We're breaking everything down. How about Jacuzzi? John Jones is back and he's doing what he does best, confusing everyone. Meanwhile, Merab Dvalishvili just dropped a video revealing that he suffered a toe injury. I'm gonna cut it off here, so don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks in advance, and let's dive into it. MMA. Fans love nothing more than a heated feud, and this one has been building up quickly. Chael Sonnen versus Islam Makhachev. It all began after UFC 315, when Islam revealed he's moving up to welterweight. That announcement immediately got people talking, and Chael, never one to stay silent, jumped in with his usual fire. He suggested that Makhachev isn't really chasing bigger challenges, but instead running from Ilia Topuria. Naturally, Islam Makhachev didn't take that lightly. Chael Sonnen's comments were always going to stir something up, and it was only a matter of time before Islam fired back. When you're the lightweight champion of the world and the pound-for-pound #1 fighter on the planet, your name carries weight, and every word aimed at you feels amplified. Islam responded with a strong tweet, and his words made it clear that he wasn't about to let Sonnen's remarks go unanswered. In his message, Makhachev drew a very sharp line between chasing hype and money versus chasing true greatness in the sport. He emphasized that he is not in the fight game for cheap thrills or publicity stunts. For him, it has always been about legacy, discipline, and cementing his place among the very best. His tweet also threw shade at the kind of fighters who rely on trash talk to climb the ladder, pointing out that an average athlete who talks their way into opportunities would never truly understand what it means to build a career on skill, dedication, and consistent performances. He capped it all off with a final jab. So please sit and watch how others are doing it, Uncle Chael. That single line was enough to spark endless debate across social media. Fans split into two camps, those who agreed with Islam's calm but firm response, and those who felt Sonnen had struck a nerve. That exchange could have been the end of it, just another flare-up in the never-ending cycle of MMA drama. But online feuds rarely die that quickly, especially when one of the sport's biggest stars is involved. The truth is, online drama isn't doing Islam Makhachev any favors. Fighters know better than anyone that energy is a finite resource. And every ounce of focus spent clapping back on Twitter is energy not directed toward the gym, toward recovery, or toward strategy sessions with coaches. Islam is not just any fighter. He's got a massive bout lined up against Jack Della Maddalena, and distractions like this are the absolute last thing he needs heading into camp. The fight with Della Maddalena is being billed as one of the most important matchups of Islam's career. Not only is he moving up in weight, stepping into the welterweight division, but he's also facing a fighter who has proven to be dangerous on the feet and capable of delivering highlight reel knockouts. The stakes couldn't be higher. A win would cement Makhachev's reputation as one of the rare champions who can move divisions and still dominate. A loss, however, would raise questions about whether he belongs at 170 pounds and whether the hype around his pound-for-pound status truly holds up across weight classes. This is why people around him, from fans to analysts, believe that now is the time for Islam to block out the noise and focus exclusively on the task at hand. Sonnen's words, while provocative, don't change the reality inside the octagon. Trash talk doesn't matter once the cage door closes. What matters is preparation, game planning, and execution. And those are the areas where Makhachev has always thrived. The interesting thing about Islam's career is that he has never really been one for theatrics. Unlike other champions who embrace the limelight and stir up rivalries to boost pay-per-view buys, Islam has typically kept things straightforward. He fights whoever the UFC puts in front of him, often on short notice, and lets his performances speak for themselves. That's part of the reason why this back and forth with Sonnen feels so unusual. It's not his style to engage, but perhaps the constant chatter finally crossed a line. For the UFC, this fight is more than just another main event. It's a chance to test how well their lightweight king can carry himself at welterweight, and whether his brand can grow even further. For Islam, however, it's about legacy. His tweet said it all. He's chasing greatness, not hype. He wants to be remembered not for his words, but for his actions in the cage. That's why all this talk on social media, while entertaining, for fans, has little to no value for him when it comes to the bigger picture. Now, with the fight looming closer, the responsibility is squarely on Islam's shoulders. He has to put every distraction behind him, the chatter from Sonnen, the debates from fans, the constant media spin, and lock in on the real challenge, Jack Della Maddalena. Fighters often talk about tunnel vision during training camp, that ability to block out the rest of the world and live, breathe, and sleep the fight ahead. That's exactly what Islam needs right now. Because here's the truth. Sonnen can tweet 100 more times, fans can argue back and forth endlessly, but none of that will matter when the bell rings. What will matter is whether Islam can impose his world-class wrestling on Della Maddalena, whether he can shut down his striking, and whether he can prove, once again, why he is considered one of the greatest fighters in the sport today. At this point, Islam Makhachev's legacy is still being written. Every fight adds a new chapter, and every performance shapes how history will remember him. Online drama will come and go, but true greatness is forged in the octagon. That's where Islam belongs, and that's where he will ultimately answer every critic, including Chael Sonnen. Charles Oliveira has even weighed in, saying that Islam will be even stronger at welterweight than he was at lightweight. In Oliveira's opinion, Jack Della Maddalena could be in serious trouble if he allows Islam to take him down. If that happens, it might be over very quickly. On the other hand, Jack Della Maddalena believes that Islam Makhachev's striking will actually be easier to handle than Belal Muhammad's. I think Islam Makhachev is a better version of Belal. I think his striking on the feet is actually easier to deal with. He tends to stay in one stance with a more traditional style, and that makes things a bit more predictable compared to Belal. But yeah, he's still a tough opponent. He's the pound-for-pound #1, so it's definitely a tough fight. The plan right now is simple. Watch all of his fights again, build a solid game plan, and start working from there. From this point on, I'll be focusing on different ways to beat him, working on how to get back to my feet, stuffing the takedown, and preparing for every situation. But overall, I'm pretty confident I can get this one done. Meanwhile, Islam Makhachev is still preparing for one of the biggest fights of his career, and fans have already noticed that he's looking a lot bigger. For context, let's not forget that Makhachev has always been the company guy. He took short-notice fights, faced whoever was put in front of him, defended his title multiple times, and climbed all the way to the #1 pound-for-pound ranking. But all of that now seems to have taken a back seat to the UFC's plan is clear. They want to push Ilia Topuria straight into a title fight. But let's be honest, if Topuria loses to Charles Oliveira, it creates a real problem for the UFC matchmakers. Oliveira has already fought most of the top names in the division, and if he wins again, we're left with a lineup of rematches that simply won't generate the same level of hype. On the other hand, if Topuria wins, it injects fresh energy into the featherweight division. It opens the door to an entirely new list of exciting matchups and keeps the story moving forward. And that's exactly what the UFC is looking for. As many of you know, it was recently reported that the Climate brothers are no longer working, with Ilia Topuria and his brother Alexandre. The two sides now live in different cities, each focusing on their own projects. In a recent interview with Submission Radio, Jorge Clement finally addressed the split. He explained the situation calmly and respectfully, without any unnecessary drama. She goes in her own direction and we go in ours. But dude, this is big news. You guys have been together on this journey. How do you feel about it? I feel, this is not easy for sentimental reasons. but this is life. We went with him through the whole journey, and now he's grown and he wants to fly away. We are very proud to have been there all the way with him. We are very proud of everything he has accomplished. Michael Bisping reacted to Jorge's comments, saying, "Very mature response from his coach." As for Ilia's current position in the UFC, Daniel Cormier also weighed in on the change. In a video posted on his YouTube channel, the discussion quickly shifted to Jon Jones, who, once again, is back doing what he does best, confusing everyone. Tom Aspinall stated that he's chasing the undisputed belt, not necessarily Jon. Jon Jones fired back with, "Shut your mouth and do as you're told." Now the question is, was he trolling or was he dead serious? Meanwhile, fans have had enough. A petition to strip Jon Jones of his belt has already passed 20,000 signatures, and that number is still climbing. It's been almost a year of inactivity, with no prospects of anything apart from waiting. For Jon, this has turned into a tricky time mentally. Just being ready, waiting, and trying to keep himself locked in for what could be the fight against Tom Aspinall. The fight is one thing, but this is the tricky part, where I really have to stay switched on, stay motivated. I'm trying my best. I really am. It's tough. What he said recently was clear. I don't care who I fight. I just want to fight. I just want to be the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I don't care if it's Jones. I don't care if it's anyone else. It could be King Kong. It could be a gorilla. Doesn't matter. Meanwhile, Jon Jones keeps posting cryptic tweets, flying out to Thailand, and living his best life. And that's fine. If that's what he wants to do, congratulations. Go out, enjoy yourself. But at the same time, people are saying, do the decent thing. And then, of course, there's Merab Dvalishvili, who just pulled the most Merab move ever. He drops a video, casually saying, "Yeah, little toe injury, no big deal. Why you break my toe, my friend? You kicked me in the head yesterday." He even brings in a guy as a witness to prove it really happened. And here's the crazy part. Merab's got a title fight coming up against Sean O'Malley in just a few weeks. Only Merab, man. This guy can't get through a fight camp without something going sideways. At this point, chaos just seems to be part of his process. Toe messed up? Doesn't matter. Merab's still out here training like a beast. But now the real question is, how's Dana White feeling about all of this? Because you know Dana hates when fighters go public about injuries before a big fight. He's always saying, don't post that stuff on social. But again, this is Merab. He's not built for quiet, he's built different. And all of this comes at a time when the UFC isn't just growing, it's taking over. Every single day, the sport is blowing up in places you'd never expect. In China, they've launched a brand new basketball league where players wear gloves and just start swinging. Mid-game, you're left wondering, is this basketball or is this MMA? Honestly, I have no idea, but it's wild, and people are absolutely loving it. Applause. Music. Meanwhile, over in Dagestan, they've created their own version of street basketball. No rules, no dribbling, just pure slams, takedowns, and non-stop chaos. They call it Dagestani basketball. And get this, China has taken it even further. Robots with boxing gloves. Actual machines squaring off inside a ring. Music. So yeah, while the UFC continues to grow in arenas all over the world, the rest of the planet seems to be losing its mind in the most entertaining way possible. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. We'd be very grateful.